Hi, welcome back again to this edition of SQL Database for Beginners. My name is James Ariel, and today we're going to be looking at how to develop a care home database design. And I'm going to show you the requirement and also the walkthrough of the ERD model. I'm still deciding whether I should do it as part of the video, if it's not going to take too long, or I should do it and then show you how the data model works. But for now, let's just continue with the requirement. So what we want to develop is, it's not a very complex database, but it's a database that requires careful planning, in the sense that what we're going to be storing most of the time is information. So as a care home, you don't really sell any product, you don't really have orders and things like that. So but one of some of the requirement that I've highlighted here is, within a care home there are three main users that will be interacting either with themselves or with a particular group of people. So we have the service user. These are the people who actually use the service. So imagine an older person who is in a care home will be regarded as a service user. Sometimes you can call them as a client. It doesn't really matter which name you give them. And also another group of people that you'll be looking at to manage their information and their interaction with your care service will be the multidisciplinary team. Now, the multidisciplinary team member, they are like the social worker, the doctor, the speech and language therapist, mental health professionals, anybody who has a direct care responsibility towards the service user will be considered as part of the multidisciplinary team. So a service user sometimes always have a social worker if the funding for their care is being done by the local authority. Even if it's not done by the local authority and is done privately, sometimes it's still kind of a requirement to have a social worker look into the process of care and everything, especially if maybe a child is involved or someone with learning disability and stuff like that. So before they actually come to your care home, they will have passed through the social services, dealing with the social worker before they are referred to your service. Another people that will be interacting with such a database are the staffs as well. So this system must be able to save all this record of the people, the multidisciplinary team, the service users, and also the staff. We want to have this database to be a secure database, so we're going to be storing their login details as well, so that we can give access to the particular user. Within the database, we're going to be looking at the user privileges as well. So each of the staff will have privileges that will grant them access to some particular record within the database. The multidisciplinary team will not necessarily have a login details. However, depending on how you want to have that interaction with the multidisciplinary team or with the social service, you could give them a link so that they could access part of your database, and maybe they can inform you of some information rather than sending it through via email address and things like that. Another thing we want to consider as part of this database is that this is not just one building, it's not just one care home. We're going to be looking at different care home as a branch of a bigger company. So we're going to have the main company, and we're going to have a branch of the care home. So the care home could have as many branches as they like. Now we go one of the things that normally saying within the care sector is within your care home you have what they call a diary or something, and this diary is what they keep things that needs to be done within the house, such as let's say fire check, water check, health and safety checks. You know, all these things need to be logged into a diary when it's going to happen. So maybe every month or every fortnight or every 3 months or every you need to actually keep that track, because when you have a CQC inspection, then by showing them this information, um you will actually get a good rating from the CQC inspector, because they will look at your care service as being managed properly. So we have activity types as well. So the service user will be required to participate in activities of their choice, and you will want to record this activity into the database as well. Within the database as a whole, which will be linked to maybe a front end, you will want to have an admin um to interact with the database. So, and that's why you see sometimes I put like here we have the activity and the activity type. So the activity types, it's a static record which will not be changing every single time. For example, we can let's say the activity type here could be they're going for football, they're going for swimming, or they're going for cycling. We have that type of activity within the system, but when the activity is going to be booked, then we can book that activity, but we don't really need to have it within our code, the activity type. We can just call it from the database. Now, another thing that is very important within a care service is to have your incident report. The incident report is something that is very important as well, that each staff will have to record an incident, what happened, if a service user had a fall or an accident, or there is an issue between the service user and the staff. This needs to be recorded within the incident report. Sometimes some care home use paper forms to record this information, but it is advisable to have it in a digital form, because then it cannot be tampered with, and you can know that this record is going to be secured and saved, ready for if you want to show as an example to an investigator if there's an issue, or you want to show to the CQC as well for things that need to be regulated within your service. Another part of requirement will be things for the communication passport. So it's like it's more or less like the incident report. So many of what you're going to be you're going to see within the system, within this database, is essentially you're going to be recording something that you ought to have a paper form for. You have to record that within a system, and you have your hospital passport to record your the service user hospital passport, so that when you take them to the hospital, you can just give that hospital passport to the receptionist at the hospital, and they know exactly what and what the profile of the service user. Sometimes the service user might not be able to verbalize and talk about how they're feeling their pain and things like that. With the hospital passport, they'll be able to understand that aspect. Now there's a support plan as well, and you'll be looking at the support plan too, which will create how the service user wants his or care to be delivered. This is where we're going to also be linking it with the multidisciplinary team, and also with the staff who is the key worker and all that. There is also um, a function that is always used within the care service as well, which is called the log. So the log just record what the service user has done on a particular day. So you want to have this record as well within your database. A carer is often referred to as the service user legal guardian. So either the parent or the foster parent, it's not the staff this time. So within the system, we want to record the carer. We want to know which service user is linked with which carer, and which carer is responsible for each, you know, each particular service user. Within this database as well, I've considered two functions. Like I said previously, we have a care home can have different branches, and a care home can have several branches, and each of these branches, some of them could be residential care, which will be the people stay there on a permanent basis, or they can have another branch which is a respite care, which they just stay for few days and they leave, or they stay on an interim basis. Maybe they stay for like 2-3 months before the local authority can find another service for them. So we want to be able to have this database to manage that information, so that even if we have a service user that is not with us as a residential care service user, we can still book in that service user on an ad hoc basis, so they can come in as respite, and also they could come in as day service as well. All this within one database rather than having separate database application for each different function. Also within our care home, our care home of course has bedrooms. So one care home could be of 3 beds or 5 bed or 6 bed or 20 beds. So we want to be able to record the beds for each of these care home branches, which will be linked to the particular care home as well. And each of these bedroom would have equipment. So imagine if we have a referrer from the social service or the local authority, and the local authority asks us and say, oh, do you have a bed space available? We can say, yeah, we have a bed space, and the bed space we have has the following equipment within that particular room. So we could query our database to find out if the bed has TV, has mattress, has wardrobe, as every requirement that is needed by the particular service user. Another thing again that we would also consider as part of those who are coming into the service on an interim basis will be people, will be their end of stay reports. The end of stay reports could also be used for those who are within the main residential care of your care home. So all these things, you need to know how to model your database to link them properly. And the final part that we're going to look at, which is the appointment. So we want to know when a particular service user had appointment with their GP, with their dentist, with their psychologist, with their psychiatrist. We need to know all this information so that we can record them within our system. Same goes for the risk assessment as well, which we can also know, okay, what type of risk assessment have we developed for this particular service user? Have we developed, the risk assessment for the community access, the risk assessment for doctor visit access, the risk assessment, for shopping access? We need to have all these different types of risk assessment so that we are able to link them properly and update this record regularly as well, because it is a legal requirement. Now, another part that is very important, another document that you will encounter within the care settings is the core assessment. Now, the core assessment is a document that comes directly from the social services. So, any service user who has been within the care system for a very long time would have started their life cycle within the care system from the social service, and the social service always prepare a document what they call the core assessment. The care home don't have control of the information that goes into that. What the core assessment will detail is the history of the service user. So for example, the service user is coming to your service, has been referred to your service. Maybe they are at the age of 25, but the service user has been at home since the age of 1, since birth to 24 years old. Now, all that information has been between the family and the social services, recorded within the core assessment that the social service is going to pass to you as the care provider in order to be able to provide a support plan to um, be able to care for this service user on a particular basis. So once you have the core assessment from the social service, that is when you can now create the support plan, your risk assessment for your service user. So another thing we want to look at again, that we want to keep records of, is the complaint, because you know the carer could complain, the staff could also make a complaint, the multidisciplinary team could make a complaint, anybody from the public could make a complaint. So we want to know how or where this complaint is coming from, who is making this complaint, what type of complaint is being made. Same thing as the monitoring. Depending on the service you offer within your care home, you want to be able to monitor the service user on a day-by-day basis. So all this information that we have, we can now ensure that, okay, we can create a database system that mirrors how we can run our care service effectively. So in the next tutorial, what we're going to look at is our ER model. I will try as much as possible to keep it simple so that you can understand the processes. So in the next tutorial, stay tuned for the ER model of our care home database. If you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and if you have any comment, leave in the comment section below, and I'll see you again in the next tutorial. Bye for now.